The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with the chittering laughter of a dozen alien species as Ambassador Vexithara of the Hegemony delivered what they all considered the final blow to humanity's pathetic petition for membership. These humans, Vexithara's translator rendered her disdain perfectly, claim to deserve a seat among us based on what? Their primitive chemical rockets? Their laughable military consisting of metal tubes that throw pieces of lead? The crystalline being's form pulsed with amusement. They haven't even mastered basic energy manipulation or achieved faster-than-light travel without external assistance. The reptilian Eschatar representative hissed his agreement. Their entire species numbers barely 8 billion. The smallest of our client races could overwhelm them in solar cycles. Commander Sarah Chen stood motionless at the center of the vast chamber, her simple blue earth diplomatic uniform looking painfully modest among the elaborate biomechanical augmentations and energy fields of the assembled delegates. Her weathered face betrayed no emotion, as species after species rose to mock humanity's quaint attempts at space exploration. They still use combustion for energy, laughed the floating jellyfish-like Kelnari. My hatchlings abandoned such primitive methods millennia ago. Their greatest achievement, added the insectoid Zac delegate, mandibles clicking with mirth, is barely reaching their own moon using chemical propulsion. We were bending space-time while they were still discovering fire. Chen waited. She had learned patience during the Martian siege of 2387, when her unit held off hegemony scouts for 6 months with nothing but kinetic weapons and improvised explosives. The aliens didn't know that story. They didn't know any of humanity's stories. The ethereal conclave's representative, a being of pure energy contained within a geometric lattice, spoke with the authority of eons. The humans demonstrate no psionic abilities, no quantum consciousness, no harmonic resonance with the cosmic frequencies. They are, by all measurements, the most primitive sapient species we have encountered in 12,000 standard cycles. Perhaps, suggested the arachnid, Vorth Ambassador with mock generosity, we could classify them as a protected species, set aside a few systems for their conservation. The chamber erupted in what passed for laughter among beings that communicated through pheromones, quantum fluctuations, and bioelectric fields. Chen finally spoke, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's translation matrix. You're done? The question was so simple, so calmly delivered, that it cut through the cacophony like a blade. Vexithara's crystalline form flickered with annoyance. Presumptuous creature, you have no right to— Actually, I do. Chen pulled out a small device that looked embarrassingly primitive next to the advanced technology surrounding her. Article 347 of the Galactic Charter states that any species formally requesting membership has the right to demonstrate their worthiness through trial by combat or technological exhibition. The hegemony delegates' form pulsed with what the translator interpreted as derision. You would face the assembled might of the galaxy with your primitive weapons? Your chemical? Rockets and metal projectiles? Chen smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. It was not a pleasant expression. Who said anything about chemical rockets? The lights in the chamber dimmed as proximity alarms began wailing throughout the station. On the massive displays surrounding the assembly, the star field began to change. Ships were dropping out of hyperspace, hundreds of them, then thousands. But these weren't the vessels the galaxy had mocked. These ships moved with impossible grace, their hulls gleaming with technologies that made even the ethereal conclave's representatives pause in recognition. Massive dreadnoughts slid through space alongside sleek destroyers, their energy signatures blazing across sensors like miniature suns. "Impossible," whispered the Siskatar representative. "Those energy readings, those are our technologies. Advanced versions of them." Chen's smile widened. "You're half right. We started with your technologies, the ones you so generously left behind every time you underestimated us and got careless. But humans have a gift you've all forgotten after millennia of stagnation." More ships kept arriving. The displays showed battle groups that stretched across light minutes, formations of vessels that dwarfed the individual fleets of most council species. "We adapt," Chen continued, her voice now carrying the authority of someone backed by overwhelming force. "You see primitive chemical rockets and think that's all we're capable of. You see kinetic weapons and assume we haven't learned better. But every time you've encountered us, every time you've dismissed us, you've left us presents." The jellyfish-like Kelnari's bioluminescent displays flickered with what might have been fear. The scout ships, the ones that disappeared in human space. "We're very good at taking things apart," Chen said conversationally. "Even better, at putting them back together in ways you never imagined. Your gravity manipulators work much better when you remove the safety limiters. Your plasma conduits are surprisingly efficient when you run them at triple their rated capacity. And your FTL drives—" She gestured toward the displays where human ships were performing maneuvers that violated several known laws of physics. "Well, let's just say you were being very conservative with your engineering." The chamber had fallen silent except for the continued blaring of proximity alarms. On the screens, a massive human vessel, larger than anything in the Council's combined fleets, slowly rotated to face the station. Weapon ports that could crack moons tracked across the diplomatic facility with casual menace. The ethereal conclave. Representative managed to speak, its energy matrix flickering with uncertainty. This is impossible. Our calculations, our predictions." "Your calculations," Chen interrupted, "were based on the assumption that we'd stay exactly where you left us. You counted on us remaining primitive because that's what you wanted to see. But humans don't stay still. We don't accept limitations. When you told us we were too weak for space, we built rockets. When you said we were too primitive for your technology, we stole it and made it better." Vexithara's crystalline form was cycling through colors that had no translation. "What do you want?" Chen's expression became serious. "What we've always wanted. A seat at the table. Recognition as equals. The right to join the galactic community not as pets or curiosities, but as partners. And if we refuse?" the Escatar delegate hissed. Chen glanced at the displays where human ships now outnumbered the combined council forces by a factor of 10. Each vessel pulsed with energy signatures that suggested weapon systems beyond anything the galaxy had seen. "Then you'll learn why evolution favored persistence over perfection," she said quietly. "Why innovation trumps stagnation. Why the species you mocked for using chemical rockets just delivered a fleet that could glass your homeworlds before lunch." The chamber remained silent for long moments. The only sound the gentle hum of systems straining to process the tactical data streaming from the human fleet. Finally, the ethereal conclave's representative spoke. "The Council recognizes humanity's petition for membership. All in favor?" One by one, every delegate in the chamber raised their appendages, activated their consent matrices, or otherwise indicated agreement. Chen nodded once, satisfied. Good. Now let's talk about those trade routes you've been monopolizing for the last few centuries. Outside, the human fleet hung in space like a promise and a threat, testament to a species that had learned the most important lesson in the galaxy. Never mistake patience for weakness, and never underestimate the power of those who refuse to accept their limitations. The galaxy had mocked humanity's weakness until their fleets arrived. Now, they would learn to respect human strength.